What is up, Bible Baddies? It's your girl Dom.
And Audra.
And we're doing Ecclesiastes chapter 6, which is only 12 verses.
So Dom's going to read them for you.
So I'm going to read them for you. There is another serious tragedy I've seen under the sun, and it weighs heavily on humanity. God gives some people great wealth and honor and everything they could ever want, but then he doesn't give them the chance to enjoy these things. They die, and someone else, even a stranger, ends up enjoying their wealth. This is meaningless, a sickening tragedy. A man might have 100 children and live to be very old, but if he finds no satisfaction in life and doesn't even get a decent burial, it would have been better for him to be born dead. His birth would have been meaningless, and he would have ended in darkness. He wouldn't even have had a name, and he would never have seen the sun or known its existence. Yet he would have had more peace than in growing up to be an unhappy man. He might live 1,000 years twice over, but still not find contentment. And since he must die with everyone else, well, what's the use? And people spend their lives scratching for food, and they never seem to have enough. So are the wise really better off than the fools? Do poor people gain anything by being wise and knowing how to act in front of others? Enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. Just dreaming about nice things is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Everything has already been decided. It was known long ago what each person would be, so there's no use arguing with God about your destiny. The more words you speak, the less they mean. So what good are they? In the few days of our meaningless lives, who knows how our days can be best spent? Our lives are like a shadow. Who can tell what will happen on this earth after we are gone? That is verses 1 through 12, chapter 6. There's scripture in the very beginning that I obviously just read, and it talks about kind of morbid things again, like we talked about in the last episode. In verse 3, it talks about how a man could have 100 children, but if he finds no satisfaction, he can't even get a decent burial. It would have been better if he was just born dead. And essentially it's talking about, I guess back in the Old Testament, it was like known that the more kids you had, it was almost a status, like it was a good thing. Like you wanted to have a bunch of kids. But if you found no meaning in family and kids, then it's like, then what's the point of like this family dynamic? You're not enjoying the fruits of these children and what God has blessed you with. Like he's blessed you with hundreds of kids and you just sit here with discontent. And so it's basically saying if you can't find the joy in that, then what's the point? Like why have 100 kids? Like what are you doing?
Right. And
so it begs the question, but then it goes on to talk about in verse 4, his birth would have been meaningless and he would have ended in darkness. He wouldn't even had a name and he would have never seen the sun or known its existence. And it's basically talking about it's better for him to be born dead. And there's actually a point that I wanted to make in all of that is just in Ecclesiastes, it talks about really dark things and morbid things. And I think even tying it back to Job even says, "Why did you bring me out of the womb? I should have died and never been seen. I wish I had never existed, but had been carried from the womb to the grave." Even Job, he's in this intense pain, physically, mentally, and he's wishing he was never born. And Ecclesiastes is kind of shadowing and echoing what Job went through. And in that, it just reminds us that we should always go to God in our really bad pain. Like the days that we may have that you're like, what's the point of life right now? Like, what am I doing? What's my purpose? God will meet us where we're at in that. And he will sit there and he will be there for us. And he also provides us hope and faith for the future. And that's what we can seek in him. But if we don't have that, then there is no hope or faith, right? Like there's nothing you can get when you're in that intense emotion and that intense pain. And so that's the beauty of God, just having that hope at the end of the day that he's going to provide and that our destiny is already kind of set.
Yeah. It's so interesting whenever, you know how you can read it yourself and pull things out and then like you hear someone else read it and talk about it and your mind just like runs in a whole different direction than you process. So like while you're reading that and talking about that, it makes me think about, isn't it interesting how we are all essentially born dead? Because until we invite God into our hearts, he is what gives us life, like truly living for God. And like they always say, like once you're baptized, once you choose to be baptized is when you're like reborn. So it's like, yes, we are born into this world and we have life and we are living. But until we accept Christ, we are all born dead, essentially. And so I think to your point of like how, yes, go to God in like the darkness, in the pain and the hurt, and he's the hope. The sooner we accept God into our hearts is the sooner he can become that hope and we can believe that for ourselves. It took me 26 years that I was living essentially dead for the world. I was living for all the gratification that came from sin, essentially. And it wasn't filling, and I felt empty, and I felt dead.
Wow. That's a really good point of view.
Well, you're talking about it, and I'm like, this is all like going through my brain, and I'm like, wait a second, it's clicking.
I love that.
So now I'm just like processing this, like, it would have been better for me to be born dead. But actually, we were all born dead. And we can all stay dead, truly living. We can all stay dead until we say, like, no, God, I invite you into my heart, and I'm ready to be alive in you. And like, the sooner you embrace that is the sooner you start living, but correctly.
Right.
Weird.
I love that point of view. That's brilliant. Because it's so true. Until you truly accept God, your soul's just you're spiritually dead.
Right.
There really is no purpose to your days. You're kind of just wandering through life under the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then your soul almost gets awakened, and you can like feel the Holy Spirit once you're baptized, and you can get the convictions, and you grow, you become an apprentice, you do all like of Jesus, you do all these things, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm spiritually awake. I have a sound mind. Things are starting to click.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes me think too, like when I was younger, I'm one of those girls, hopeless romantic, all this stuff. Like I have always envisioned being a mom, and like I would tell people I want to be a mom so I can look at the child and see what features it got from me. That's selfish. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be a mom so I could like dissect my child in a way of like, oh, you have my ears. Like, wow, my ears are prominent. Like, oh, you have my eyes. Like, and of course I wanted to be a mom for like the love of it, right? But there was always something in me that felt empty. And I felt like a child will fill this. That's why I want to be a mom. I want to be a mom so I feel whole. But now, becoming a believer, I want to be a mother because I love God so much, and I want to share that with my child, like, and grow them, like really like water them and watch them love God too. Like I'm excited for that, you know, and I'm excited to fall in love with the right person and have that child with them and watch them teach my child how to love God too. Like that's so exciting. So it makes me think too, like you could be a father to 100 people, but if it doesn't matter, if you're not doing it for the right reasons, if you're not doing it for God, then it's empty.
It's so empty. It's like, where's your heart in all of that? Having those 100 kids for your status to show, hey,
for your
look.
status. That's what you said, right? Like back then it showed, oh, you have money, you can provide. Doesn't matter how many kids you have. Like they must have money because they can feed them all. They can clothe them all. That's why you did it.
Right.
And now you have these kids that are growing up not feeling a sense of worth or purpose or knowing God to give it to them.
Right. Because if you think about it, when you have a kid, it's your opportunity to make a disciple and to see what they go out and do with the world and the seeds they plant for other people that are believers or not, to see how they worship Jesus.
Right.
Like, that's the beauty. Could you imagine you just like go into your kid's room and they're just sitting there reading the Bible? I would cry. I'd be like, oh my goodness.
I know. I did something right. What are you talking about?
Little Dom. So unlike you.
Little Dom. Oh my gosh.
But that's like the beauty in it, is that even when like looking at that kid, I can't wait for the day knowing that it came from a place of just pure love. I married someone who was just genuine Christian, a great guy, and out of pure love, we made something together.
Yeah.
And it's a human.
Right.
It's just, if you
that's both of
conceptualize
you.
that, yeah, it's both of our love. It's like a unity of our love that's one. And so even when God talks about like two souls become one, it's almost your kid. Like that's your kid. It's both you and one. But not even that. I was at the gym before this CrossFit working out, and I was talking to this couple, and I thought they were brother and sister because they look alike. And they're like, no, we've been married for 30 years. And I thought they were younger, but it just reminds me, I swear, when people stay together for so long, they start looking like each other. Like in a weird way, I can physically see them becoming one.
Okay.
Can't you?
Like mannerisms and stuff too.
Yes, the mannerisms, their habits. I mean, it's truly like a mirror. Like you're a reflection of your soulmate, of the person you marry. And it's really unison. It's bipartisan in every aspect of like, if they go to church, you're going to church. If you're going to the gym, they're going to the gym. They don't go at different class times, they go at the same time. They probably eat dinner at this. It's just like really cool to see like the love and like truly how you become one. And it's in so many different aspects and facets of life.
Yeah.
Everything. Exercise, meals, sleep patterns.
Yeah.
All the things. Not to be real. I don't even know what we're talking about now.
Me neither.
I think too, on the point of discomfort and feeling that immense pain, is that even if you don't feel anything from God, or you don't get the outward thought or vision or dream that you're like, that's a sign, or that's my God wink, or anything from God, that you can still sit in full comfort, just knowing, even if you don't hear a thing, like full comfort of God, full hope that he knows your destiny and like you're gonna be okay.
Everything has already been decided. It was known long ago that each person would be. So there's no use arguing with God about your destiny. That, like when you read that, and now just saying that too, it kind of gave me like a wave of peace. Truly, at the end of the day, all of it is vanity. And me just processing that for myself is like, I am at a space in my faith where I want to do it so biblically accurate, right? But I'm a sinner. And whenever I put so much pressure on myself to like be biblically correct, it stresses me out so much, because I sit here and I'm like, what if I'm messing it up? What if I'm choosing to be with the wrong person? What if my friendships are leading me down the wrong path? What if my career isn't what if my laziness today? What if my like I just will spiral. And whenever you read that, like it just made me think like, God knows my destiny. He has a plan for me, and every single step that I take, he's going to use it for his glory. That is it. And I'm not trying to encourage people to like follow their flesh in any way. I think definitely like sit with your convictions and like pray. But like I have to let go of this stress that I'm in control of my life and my choice will derail it. It could change it, but I have to believe and trust that God will still use it. And so that's where like I just get so caught up in this like, what if I'm making the wrong choice? What if I'm upsetting him? What if I'm disappointing God? That saying like, he knows your destiny.
Yeah.
It's written. It's done. It's
John 1:1.
Literally. Yeah. Like I might not even make it to the check mark that I want so badly. And like, I'm over here stressing about like, is this the man I'm going to marry? And it's like, I might not get to the altar. I might not. Like my days are numbered, you know, like God will take me when he wants. And so why am I sitting here freaked out about who my I do belongs to when it's vanity, you know? Like that part doesn't matter. It matters to a degree of like, yes, if you're still going and you get there, like I hope and pray that I'm with somebody that, again, like we just spoke about, like loves God enough to love my child through the lens of like a heavenly father. That's what I want. But that's more for my child when I'm thinking about it. Like that's not even for me. I've been single for so long and I'm doing life and I can. And like, I don't want to do life alone for the rest of it. But like, I've got great friendship. I won't be alone. I have a great relationship with my siblings. Like I love my family. If that's not my path, that's not my path, and that's okay. Do I want it? Of course. But at the end of the day, it's a worldly desire that's vanity. And it's okay. Yeah. So why am I stressing about it when my destiny's written?
It's already written. And God knows it. Yeah. And he's the only person who knows. So I can sit here and try to give you the best advice I can. No clue.
No clue.
Only he knows. And only he can give you those signs that can help you, or even just sitting in the comfort of knowing, hey, it's already written. That gives you so much faith and hope. Like, hey, my life is already predetermined.
Yeah.
So no matter what I do, I can't mess up what God already knows. So therefore, I'm good.
Yeah.
I had a phone call the other day with someone, and they were talking to me, and they're like, Dominique, when you truly give up all control of every aspect of your life is when you're truly in control of everything in your life. And I was like, whoa, never thought of that. You know, you can't control other people's emotions. You can't control their reactions. You can't control what they're going to say, how they're going to speak, what they're going to text you, what they're going to call, who they're going to hang out with. You can't control any of that. The only thing you can control is releasing that, knowing you're fully in control, that it doesn't matter.
Right.
And it's so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
Once you can really shift the mindset, it's the most freeing thing.
Yeah.
Well, I can't control, so I'm not going to get mad over that. I can't control what just came out of her mouth. I don't care.
Right.
I can't control it.
Yeah.
And it's so freeing.
It is, truly. Like, I remember in high school and past high school even, like, if I was in a group of friends, like, had more than one friend, whatever, if they hung out without me, I was mad, bro. Like, big mad. Why are you hanging out without me? Like, what, am I not good enough? Do you not like me? And then I would spiral like, oh, you must be gossiping about me. You don't want me there. So clearly you're talking bad about me. And it was just this like, oh my God. And like, I was jealous. It was just like, what do they have that I don't? Why do you want to spend alone time with them and not me? Why can't we all hang out together? And now I just sit at home. I just be sitting at home and I like see my friends out. And I'm like, I don't want to come. I'm good. Like, I love you.
Yeah.
I'll love you on my couch.
Yeah. 100%.
You have fun out there.
Yeah.
And I just like, but I think that also comes with now a lot of my friendships. And even if they're not Christian women, they're just mature. And I trust them. You know, it's like if they go hang out together one-on-one, I don't believe that anybody's sitting in a space talking bad about me. And maybe that's because I've grown to be a little bit more humble than I was when I was 19 years old. I don't think so highly of myself that everyone's thinking about me 24/7.
Right.
And if they are, it's like, I don't know what you're saying because I just be sitting on my couch.
No, that's fair. It even makes me think when it comes to control too. There was a reel that I watched and it was like, it was breaking down statistics of how people are getting married of this year and how they met. And like number 1 was Hinge. Number 2 was Bumble. Number 3 was Bagel Meets Coffee. Number 4 was another dating app. And then the very last one was like, quote, Out in the Wild. And I thought about it and I was like, man, I need to get on Hinge. Like, what am I doing? But then I really thought about it. And I was like, back in the day, there was none of the top 4. It was only Out in the Wild. So I was like, as a society, the divorce rate is growing at alarming amounts, but so are these dating apps. And so are these things that like we're putting that in our control of like, well, it's almost like I have little faith that I'm going to meet anyone in the wild. So I need to go on one of these 4 apps. And I had to check myself in that of like, whoa, hold on. There's hope. I go to a gym, I work out, I go to the grocery store. Like, God will truly put my person there when the timing is right. Like, I don't need to control, oh, well, I'm in the mood for a boyfriend or I'm in the mood to go to a date. So I'm just going to swipe real quick and just, you know, it's like a control thing. It's essentially saying, okay, my timeline makes this match. Like, I'm going to do it. And in that, I was like, Dominique, you're not even ready to date. So calm down. I was like, but I want my husband. I want to go travel the world with him. Where is he? Right. Yeah. And so it's like, I have to check my heart in that. And it's like, no, like shame at all for like doing, like, I'm all for the apps, but I
met a guy on an app.
Yeah. So. And he's amazing. So it's like, there's no shame in that at all. But I just think like sometimes we just want to control it all. Yeah. And then when we release that control and we don't care anymore, not to not care, but it's just truly knowing like I have comfort in whatever the season of life is. Yeah. Like I have comfort in knowing like if I don't find my person until I'm 45 or I'm 80 like Ruth, however old she was, like it's okay, right? Like I will figure it out. But
I definitely have sat in that confliction with dating apps of like, okay, am I taking this into my control? Like, God, I do trust you. I do believe that like you will make a way. I've heard so many back and forth like within the Christian community of like, don't get on dating apps, you're taking it into control. And then it's like, well, like God can use anything, right? Like 100%. He can use your belief that you are in control for him to take control, you know? And I don't know, something that I've sat in, anytime I am on the dating app, I go off and on them because sometimes it gets overwhelming. Sometimes like I have to really sit in myself and like pray to God and say like, I am doing this with intention. I'm looking at a man's profile and not swiping because he's the hottest guy I've seen in 8 years. Like I'm swiping on people that may not have the best photos, but they have a great bio and they love God and that's what they are claiming to say that they want. And then I have to then like meet them and judge that based on like who they are sitting in front of me, you know, like based on conversation, but I'm having intentional conversations, you know, but like there have been times when I've been on apps and I find myself looking on them because I'm seeking the validation. Like I don't even want the boyfriend. I'm just like, I want somebody to tell me I'm pretty. And that's when I have to get off of them because it's like, I'm not here looking for my husband anymore. I'm here because I feel hopeless and I want someone to validate where I feel hopeless. And that's when it's like, get off this app and take that to God.
Yeah.
You are not hopeless. He is all of your hope, and he will provide the man for you, you know, whether it's on the app while you're there or off, like when that ends, you know, like I do know like it does require a lot of intentionality, and it requires a lot of trust in God, and like also just surrender of like when you really feel that conviction and like know you're doing it wrong. I'm not swiping anymore for my husband. I'm swiping for the hottest guy. I'm not swiping anymore for my husband. I'm swiping for my validation. Like, get off that app. Take a break. Like,
I love that.
Because you're not going to find your husband right now. You're not looking for him.
Right.
You're seeking something else. So check yourself.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, again, no shade in apps at all. I am all for them because I've been to weddings where they literally met 6 months later, they're married.
Yeah.
And they're just like the purest, like, you know, they're soulmates. And so God uses everything and anything to find your person. I often think sometimes like it just brings me back to like, no matter what path you choose in life, you will get there.
Yeah.
Because again, your destiny is determined. So whether that's you download an app, maybe in my world or like how I went about it, I was going about it the wrong way. So I had to face the harder path instead of taking the path less traveled on, which is like the way of God, right? Maybe I had to go on 100 heartbreaking dates to find the one on that app. So maybe it was a lot harder than if I would have waited. Or like maybe flip it. Like maybe I go out on a bunch of dates in the wild and then I go on the app and I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing. Right? Like it's all perspective and it's all the path, but it's like, again, your destiny is already determined. And so like just knowing fully like, hey, I'll find my person, right? Like whether it's this app, whether it's Bagel Meets Coffee, I've never even heard of that before. I was like, what? Like they met at Bagels, like, and then I was like, no, it's a dating app. But I don't know. I just like find it interesting.
Yeah. I think where my mind gets really tripped up with God is that like, so I'll start at a topic, right? Like, so dating, right? And it's like, okay, don't get on the app because I'm taking it into my control, right? But then I'll like kind of sit in that and I'm like, okay, my intentions are good right now. I'm going to get on the app. And then I think like, okay, I'm doing this right. And then I meet somebody or like, maybe I don't, whatever. But like all this to say, like in every stage of how I'm thinking, like the process of, no, I'm not going to get on the app. Then the process of being on the app. Then the process of potentially deleting the app because I met somebody or because I didn't. God is using it all. And I just think sometimes like it's funny that we forget about that. Like God might nudge you, hey, it's okay to get on the app. Some people will say like, God told me to. If God told you to get on the app, I'm not going to argue with you. Yeah. When God tells you to get on the app, he's going to also like, I'd imagine be sitting there with you and want to tell you who to swipe on then. Like if he's that intentional to tell you to go, he's going to then tell you like, say yes to this person for coffee, say no. Like, and I'm not talking about like God's going to audibly do this. I just mean like, I think it's funny that I think that I have any control. Any at all. Even if it was like me sitting here saying like, God said it was okay for me to get on the app, my brain stops there. Because if God gives me the go ahead for the app, then it becomes like, it's like he's given me the control. He never gave me the control. Right. He still has it. But I think, okay, God, you've approved this desire. You've approved this want. You've approved this direction. I'm driving. I'm going to go that direction. No, God's still driving. Right. That's where my brain just will sit sometimes. I'm like, oh, wait. I'm always in the passenger seat. Always. And I think so often that I'm driving and God's beside me. And he's like, no, I've got the keys. My foot's on the pedal. You have no idea what you're doing. And I'm like, you're right, bro. Like, you're right. Right. But I think it's like, it's truly like, honestly, if you think about it too, in the sweetest way, like envision like me being a girl, obviously, so I'm going to do that, but like envision a little girl on her daddy's lap driving the truck. And she thinks like, I remember doing that, thinking I was driving the truck. He had his foot on the pedal. He had his hand at the bottom of the wheel, really steering it. But I thought, Daddy, look at me. I'm driving. I wasn't. He was. That's a good father. Get on my lap. I'll show you how. But really, he's still there. Like his foot's on the pedal, not mine. He's steering the ship. Yeah. But I'll show you how. And when you let God show you how, you're going to have a better outcome. And it's the easier path. Right. Because when you choose the harder path, you're going to keep doing that habitual sin, or you're going to keep letting that same person hurt you over and over and over again until you're strong enough to be like, okay, my way's not working. Right. When I want to be in control, it's not working.
let me go figure out God's way.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's way easier. And I'm like, oh,
Yep.
he was saving me from all this sin.
Mm-hmm.
Or when I'm stuck in those patterns and I'm sinning, I always see the consequences of them and I'm still not learning because I'm like, oh, chaos. Ooh, fun.
Love it here.
Love it. Like the plot. I get to tell my girlfriends how crazy this weekend was. Like, no,
Yeah.
that's not fun. Now it's chaotic. Now it's sinful.
Mhm.
Let me choose this path.
Yeah.
I just know for me, the apps, I think that's why I keep telling myself that. As I was like out in the wild, is because for me, it's going to be all vain. It's
Yeah.
all going to be vanity. There is no intentionality. I'm like 6-pack boat.
Yeah.
House. What you got? What you got? What you got? Like how? Like what's the deal? And that's like where my heart's not right. That's why obviously I haven't downloaded it
Mhm.
either. I think going back to all of it to sum it up is like truly where your heart's at in it. Like
Right.
what's the intention behind it? Is God saying like, okay, now like let's go on out there? No, he's not calling me to that right now. So
Right.
it's like my intentions isn't pure in that. So let's figure that out first, right?
Yeah.
And like I feel like a lot of people can get that in prayer.
Mhm.
Just reading the Bible and knowing like, okay, mindset, am I even ready for that? Do I feel like I'm ready to dive into that? Do I feel like I'm the perfect wife for
Right.
somebody?
Right.
And until I can answer that question, then maybe it's not a good idea.
I know.
Well, since we're talking about relationships, this episode's gonna be like Relationships 101 with Dom and Audra.
We have no answers for you. No idea what we're doing.
Popping off. So verse 11 says, the more words you speak, the less they mean. So what good are they? And it reminds me of love bombing.
Oh.
In a relationship when someone, I mean, even the word I love you, when someone says it so much, it almost loses its value
Mhm.
because there's such an abundance of it. And to me, it's basic economics. Being a finance major, I'm like, oh, economics, that makes sense. It almost needs to be sacred. Like
Mhm.
certain words and certain actions should be sacred because the more you do an action, the less value it has. So for example, sex. The more you have sex with a bunch of people, the less it means for the right one.
Yeah.
Saying I love you to people, whether that be a man, whatever, if you say it to them 20 times a day and it's very excessive, it has less significance and less meaning.
Right.
So it's like the more abundant some things are, like sometimes less is more.
Right.
And when we just throw words out there, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, it becomes, well, now there's not a word to describe what I'm really feeling anymore.
Right.
Because you use it so much that it's like saying hi.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually interesting. Just where I'm kind of at talking to this guy, we have been having good conversation, right? But what are your thoughts on like moving in before marriage? And for me, it's truly like I've gotten to a place so much where I love the idea of my marriage, even though it's not mine yet, even though I don't have it and might never have it. Like I love the idea of a true love. And I just was like, I think that there are great benefits in living with somebody before you're married. I do. You know, I've done it in my past. But I love my future husband so much that I don't want to do it with anybody else. I don't think a marriage, like when people say like, well, what if like you marry somebody and they don't fold the laundry the way you do? Then ask them to change or you do the laundry. Like that's not ground for divorce. And I think that that just shows where our character is in dating and how we view relationships so incorrectly. Like, oh, I think it like if you live together, then you see the person and then it'll prevent you from having a divorce. Actually, the statistics are backwards. People who live together before their marriage have a higher rate of divorce. The beauty of it gets dulled faster.
100%.
And you should want to learn your person for the rest of your life because to think that a human being is going to stay stagnant, that is what would drive me crazy. I don't want to marry someone at age 32 and be with that same person who they are at age 67. You better have changed. You better grow. You better grow me. You better water me daily. You better accept every difference we have. You better embrace every new idea I bring to the table. You better champion me because I plan to do that to you. Mm-hmm. I plan to champion you with whatever crazy, bizarre idea you bring to the table. I'm going to figure out how to do it with you. I want to love you through that. Like, you want to come to me and be your worst self? Fine. I'll give you a minute. I'll go pray to God, ask him why he paired me with you. Let's be really real. and then we'll figure it out. Like
Yeah.
this idea that we can just leave,
Yeah.
because we don't like them anymore. Stop it. What
Yeah.
are you doing? That it drives me insane when that's a conversation, because it's like, you want to live with me for what? Without putting a ring on my finger, for what? So then when we find out we actually don't mesh, we're both left in shambles. We're
Yep.
both left heartbroken and like feeling as though like we won't be good enough for the person that we marry. Because now we've lived together and that person didn't want me and I didn't do it good enough. So now I have more baggage to think I'm not going to be a good enough wife for someone else. Crazy.
It is. And I think to that point is there's a proper order for all of this for a reason.
Yeah.
I lived with a boy I was dating for 2 years. And yeah, you have differences. It becomes very mundane living with the person you love.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes very, hey, you don't put the socks in the hamper again. Hey, you don't ever clean. Hey, I've been cooking a lot of the dinners. It becomes not fun.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's a reason why, in my personal opinion, and I learned from taking the messier route, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I knew probably better in my heart, like I should probably wait for marriage before I live with someone, right? Didn't. I was like, well, it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Half my rent's gone.
Yeah.
Like this is convenient. I see him every day anyways. Like this is perfect. But in reality, it took away from that relationship. It took away from our love. We didn't get to experience life the right way because like truly when you're married, that sock it doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you're playing house without all the ring and the commitment. It's like, what am I doing?
Right.
What am I doing in this? What's the purpose in this? Because now I'm just annoyed and I'm not even married to you. So it's easier for me to leave.
Right.
And take off and be like, all right, peace.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to either of us.
There's no stakes.
Yeah.
And like, and also to that point, it's like you're giving this person everything that should be for marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you mad that they're not proposing? They already have you.
They have everything.
They have everything they want.
Yeah.
Now, like, you really think that like somebody who is doing this is going to look at you and be like, I should buy her a ring. Like, and it happens, of course. We're not saying that it doesn't and like it won't. It's your life and God's going to use it.
Everyone has their own path.
Yeah. We're whatever. We've both done it. Like, we're not coming for you.
No, we're not coming for you.
And like, you know, but it's just being on this side now because like I've lived with an ex as well. It's just not good. Not
and
good
then
times.
I feel like living with them is even harder because then I feel like even though you may not share a bank account, somehow your assets get tied.
Mm-hmm.
One person is now buying the toaster.
Mm-hmm.
One person's buying the knife set. One person's buying the nice plates. One person. And so when you do split up, it's almost that pain as if it was a marriage.
Right.
It almost, I can imagine, feels like a divorce.
Right.
Now we're splitting. Okay, did you buy this? Oh, did I buy that? Oh, okay, who's going to get the dog?
Right.
Okay, who's going to get my fish? Okay, we bought this together. Like, who wants the bed frame? You know, like it's truly, it becomes so much messier when you intertwine your life so intimately without the sacred commitment of marriage.
Right.
And I unfortunately had to learn that the hard way. And there are people that live together before marriage and they work out or they have plans to get engaged and married. And maybe that's where I went wrong. I just lived with them without that plan or without that at least acknowledgement. Hey, in 2 years, like we're going to be good.
And I do think that there are situations, and I mean, I don't know if we can really speak to it, but like you feel hopeless. Like you feel like it's your only choice to live with your partner. You know, like you don't have a family to go to. I get it. That's where I was at. When I lived with my ex, I saw him almost as like a safety net. I can't go home. I don't have any friends to live with right now. And he was just like, you can live with me. And I was like, oh my gosh, great. Like he's going to marry me. Like I love him and this is going to be so great. And what it turned into was me hating him. I don't hate him, but like I resented him. I resented him so much because it became like I was 21. Like I think I was 21. And like it very much fell into these, I do the laundry, I clean the house, he goes to work, and then he would go out drinking. He like stopped it because we were always together and we shouldn't have been together. And so it's like we start getting annoyed with each other. So he wants to go out with his friends, but then I'm mad because it's like, you don't want to bring me with you. You want to get like, oh, you're getting away from me. And then I was like, and you have me in this house cleaning it and cooking your dinners. And I'm just sitting here. Oh, how a little housewife without a ring. And then I started getting mad and I was like, where's my ring? Where's my ring? And he was like, I don't know. Like, I'm not ready. And I was like, you better put a ring on my finger if you're going to keep treating me like a little housewife that's going to sit here and do. And we hated each other at the end of it. Like, it was just bad.
Yeah. And I think it goes to say, now that you just said that, it like sparked everything in me. And I don't want to speak on behalf of you, but tell me if I'm on the right track, is that basically like we put our like hope and faith in men instead of in God in that time in our lives. Like I put my finances in this man. Oh, well, it's half the rent. I shouldn't have the fear or worry about money.
Right.
But I did. And that's why I live with him. Oh, well, it's half the grocery bill. I shouldn't have a fear of where my food's going to come. Matthew 6:26 literally talks about the birds of the sky. Like, I feed them. Why wouldn't I feed you? Like, I shouldn't worry about stuff like this. But I did. And I was putting that hope and faith and the fruits into a man that I know couldn't give me those fruits.
Right.
Only God could. So, of course, he was going to fall short. Of course, at the end of it, I wasn't going to like him. Of course, we were going to leave. Of course, we didn't have God at the center in our relationship because we were living in sin. It was building ourselves up for failure.
Right. And what you just said too, like, of course we were going to fall short. I will fall short. I'm human and I'm a sinner. My husband will fall short. He will be human and he will be a sinner. There's no getting away from it. So this crap, look at me, I'm fired up. I'm all fired up coming from a parents with divorce. Like, I'm like, this is what I should have preached to my parents. But, and I understand there are situations that it is okay. And like, God recognizes that. Like, I'm not harping on divorce. Like, you have your own path. And God, like I said, God will use your journey. But I'm saying for me and how I can hopefully prevent the little control that I have, the no control that I have in life, how I see it in my mind for my path, no one else's, me. I will not live with my husband, my person, this guy, before he puts a ring on my finger, tells me he loves me, and professes it to Christ.
I love that. It's like Jonathan and David. I got your back, you got mine.
Yeah, 100%.
Ecclesiastes 2,
literally
back to back.
God's like, I told you guys, stop trying to find husbands. I paired y'all together just to be companions. Like, that I just wanted a husband, bro.
I love that.
I don't know how Ecclesiastes 6 became a dating app, but
here we are. Relationships 101 with Dom and Audra. Obsessed.
Oh, man.
No, that's a really good point, too, because the fact that we both fall short, and then when we marry someone, we're both going to fall short. I truly feel like when they really mess up badly, the only thing that will almost keep you in that covenant is marriage.
Yeah. Because
when you do live with them and you're not married and they mess up, it's harder to extend that grace. Yeah. It's harder to extend that love and patience. And when there isn't a covenant, I feel like it is easier to leave. It's easier to find an exit.
Well, and I think there's always a consistent fear too, because it's not tied, right? For me personally, like, I remember there was a guy, like, I wasn't even married, or I wasn't obviously married, but I wasn't even living with him, but we were so codependent that there was this fear that he always kind of dangled, well, I'll just leave you if you don't do it. I'll just leave you. I cowered to it. Like, I didn't know God at that time, and he was my ticket almost, you know, like, he was this guy, like, he already had a son, and I was just like, you're going to be the best dad of my kids. Like, you're already a dad, you know, like, and you have a good family, and your family's motivating me. Your family's pushing me to be better. Like, this has to be it, right? Like, I moved away from my family and I met you, and this has to be great. And it wasn't. And it was horrible and hurtful and so many things. But I sat there and I made him my God.
Yeah.
I was so scared to leave. I was so scared that he was the best I could ever get. And if I walked away, then, like, I was the stupid girl. And then it ended up in shambles. And I was crushed for years trying to pick up the mess that he left behind. Yeah. And I didn't know God. I didn't have him to, like, I didn't know to call on him to fix it. I was doing it all on my own and making it so much worse. I was making it so much worse.
The path without him is always so much harder. Always.
Yeah. I thought I was just living life. But instead, I was just covering up my heartbreak in the worst way.
Yeah.
Vanity.
It's all vanity. But to that point, in relationships, I love more than anything, verse 9. It says, enjoy what you have rather than desiring what you don't have. So for those people that are in relationships or in a marriage, I think it is so crucial to truly be content and live in the moment with that person and not desire what you don't have in that person. Because like we said, they fall short. So don't desire, this person doesn't have his shortcomings, because that's when cheating happens. Oh, the grass is greener on the other side, I'm going to get a divorce. Sometimes it's not.
Right.
And there was a sermon of a preacher, and he made the analogy. He's like, there's a beautiful flower out in the wild, and there's 2 ways you could go about it. You can go and look at it and pluck it from the earth, be like, wow, it's so beautiful, and keep it for yourself. Or you can look at the beauty of this flower and you just want it to grow. And so you water it, and then you come back the next day and you continue to water it, and you're like, wow, it's so beautiful. It keeps continuing to grow. And it just reminds me in life, like, what are we plucking people out of our lives, or are we plucking people and we're not watering it, or watering those relationships, watering that marriage, watering my friendships, or am I just plucking them because I get a use out of it, but then it's fleeting because it dies? I'm not helping it grow. They can't help me grow because they're plucked. What are we doing? Yeah. Because the grass isn't greener, and it's greener where you water it. Yeah. So you continue like, hey, we're in this marriage. How can we be better? What do we need to do? Okay, we need to go to church. Okay, we need to join a couples therapy. Okay, community, whatever that is. Because if you just dwell on someone's shortcomings, that's when it leads to sin. Right. That's when it leads to even thoughts of cheating. Maybe you don't have to do the action of it, but thoughts are just as bad. Like your soul's not in the right place. Your heart is not in the right place. And it leads to discontent. And the key in that is contentment.
Yeah. I just think too, like, it speaks so much to like the digital world that we live in, and we're all addicted to social media, and we're all constantly watching each other's lives. And I have for sure been a victim of it, and like definitely compared my life to everyone else's around me that I see. And I know that the people in our community are doing it too. We talk about it in our small group. And for example, me and my sister, my youngest sister, we love each other dearly, but we have a pretty competitive relationship. And she had mentioned to me, she saw on my story that when I was training for my half marathon, my time running 6 miles was faster than her time when she was in high school. And that was years ago. And I had to tell her, like, I don't post my bad days. I don't post the day that I go outside to run the 6 miles and only run a half a mile because I'm tired of it. I don't like running. I don't want to do it, to be honest. Running the 6 miles was hard. I didn't want to do it. And I could really only do it when somebody would do it with me because I'm that type of person. But I don't post when I fail. Nobody posts when they fail. And if they do post when they fail, I do believe that there's some type of validation that they're seeking in it, to some degree. And I know that some people have great intention and think that they're trying to help, but like, we as humans were meant for community in the sense of a very intimate relationship with a group of people, not the world. We weren't meant to know everything about everybody, what's going on. And now to a degree, we still don't. We know the facade that people post. I post a facade. If it looks good on my Instagram, I'm going to post it. I'm not posting me sitting on my couch. I say it on here, but like, y'all don't know I'm sitting on my couch all the time. I'm sitting on my couch all the time, but my Instagram looks like I'm having a blast living life. It's such a trap, and I understand it. And like, I'm sitting in this boat rowing with everyone that's listening, but we have to stop looking at everybody else. And we have to stop looking at ourselves too. And like where we feel we're falling short, look at God. God's providing a roof over your head. God's providing the earbuds you're listening to this podcast in. God's providing you with a job, with hopefully friendships. If you don't have friendships, like, you need to get into a community. Join a small group, join a sport, go to church, go talk to the people under the bridge. Like, they're nice. I've done it before. Like, you have to find community. It's important. And good community, that you're not looking at each other thinking, why does she have more than me? She doesn't. She's dealing with her own struggles. You don't know about them, but if you get to know her, you probably would find out. Find out.
Yeah, because the world will always make you feel discontent. And it'll always make you feel like the grass is greener. Yeah. It always will. And it's a trap. Yeah. It's a trap. So you have to water the flowers, the beauty that you have around you. Water your community. Water your church. Your church is going to fail you. Yeah. Your church isn't even perfect. Your pastor's not perfect. But you could still water that. You can
Mhm.
water that relationship. You can help each other grow.
Pray for them.
Yeah. That's all you can do. Because if you look out into the world, I mean, I'm guilty of that in all my relationships. I always thought the grass was greener. Okay, peace, exiting.
Yep.
You know? But I often wonder, man, if I would have watered it, imagine where we'd be today.
Yeah. Well.
Relationship advice 101.
What's the title of? I don't even have a title.
You don't have
for
titles?
chapter 6 at all.
One of them is the future determined and unknown.
Relationships.
Relationships determined but unknown. Audra and I's life right now.
Yep.
Determined. God knows.
No idea.
But we don't know.
And neither do y'all.
And that's the beauty of God.
Yep. Well,
that's all I have, really.
That's it, everyone.
God about everything's already been decided. Enjoy what you have rather than desiring it.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for getting Dom here safely and just providing us with good conversation. Hopefully this episode hits the right ears. Hopefully people don't find that I'm being too harsh, but that people just hear our hearts and hear you through us and just know that you're fully in control and you have everything already mapped out for us. Our destiny is written in your goodwill, and we're just here to exist and love you and be the best that we can through you. So yeah, in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.